What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Bland back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How is everybody doing this week? So, I know, let me just go ahead and get this out the way right away. Last week, we weren't able to do the show because of some technical difficulties. Pray to the Google guys today. Everything seems to be working great. So, appreciate you guys showing up, showing out every single week. We do have a phenomenal guest this week. I will get to him in a second. But what I want to say is hit the like button as you come in. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Appreciate the continued love and support here on the Shop Podcast. We try and bring the best available content every single weekend to you guys. So once again, appreciate everybody coming in live. And once again, drop in the chat, say hello. We like to keep the chat lit. So let's go ahead and go around the panel. But as tradition here, we will start with the special guest. And I just want to say a couple things before he gets around to speaking. This is one of the OGs in the game. So I reached out to him. Been following him for a very, very long time. This man puts on a phenomenal show. The Weapon Will podcast. If you've not heard of it, if you haven't, get yourself from under a rock. So one of the OGs in the game. But I want to go ahead and just introduce BG Broken Games. Once again, man, appreciate you taking a little bit of time this weekend. But let everybody know what's going on with you in the chat right now.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on, man. Definitely appreciate it. Weapon Will podcast host. We're on Sundays at 6:30. You could check on my channel, Broken Games HDR. And yeah.
Let's get it. Let's dive in, man. But I appreciate you once again taking your time out. Once again, everybody, all this information is in the chat below. Not chat, but in the description below. So go ahead and follow him on Twitter. Follow him on YouTube. The man puts on a phenomenal show. Well, I'm a big fan of his as well. Have been for a very long time. So let's go ahead and go around to my panel here, my compadres as well. Let's start with you, Stag. I know it's been a quite a week for you. Been doing some gardening. Been seeing it all over Twitter, man. But how's your gaming experience been this week? What you been playing?
Everything as usual. I mean, I did a week full of indie titles on my streams as usual. Posted my new schedule for next week. Just diving in, doing all the indies like I normally do. Just started another site on my PS4 this week. It's an interesting side-scrolling puzzle 2D blind girl and a cat story. I don't even really know how to explain it.
Okay.
I saw it. I was on Amazon one day and I was like, I haven't heard of this before. Sure, why not?
Man.
Yeah, just doing that and looking forward to actually doing the show this week.
Yeah, let's get it, man. Like I said, I think I prayed to the Google guys this morning. Looks like we all on track, so let's keep this thing going. So let's roll over to you, Centurion. How you been this week? What you been playing? What's been going on with you, brother?
Oh, man, it's been an awesome week, and it's going to be an even awesome Saturday that I get to sit here and kick it with you guys and talk about some gaming and crawl out from underneath my rock and actually meet our special guest because, no, I have not heard of him, so I guess I'm a fraud. But this is going to be awesome. Well, yeah, I know. I'm over here holding down the bushes for the frauds. Don't worry.
Appreciate you.
We're trying to figure out how we're gonna move this goalpost once again. So we're trying to find fresh grass.
Oh, stop it.
Oh, but
right, we're not starting that nonsense this early. We're not doing that this early. Show some damn respect, Centurion.
I know.
But either
right?
way, man, appreciate you coming in. Once again, every single week, you're super consistent, man. Once again, BG, Centurion, BG. I'm sure we'll get to the pleasantries probably after the show. But last but not least, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, the smoothest voice on YouTube. Appreciate you, Fuzz. What's going on with you? What you been playing this week, man?
A little bit of everything except for the division. But seriously, I've been playing GT Sport, Horizon, Forza Horizon 4, and a little bit of Anthem, believe it or not, and enjoying my time playing those while I can.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and dive in, man. We got a lot to talk about this week. Got a lot to cover. I'm itching to talk about some of this stuff because we did not get to the show last week. So we're going to go ahead and start with the poll of the week. And once again, if you're new here, something that I put up on my Twitter account every single Monday. Catch me there. Follow me. All that information is down in the description as well. And then I put it up there. Then we talk about it every single Saturday. So let's go ahead and dive in. The poll of the week this week actually was, what video game character would you rather be in quarantine with and why? And as tradition here, we will start with the guest, BG. So we're going to go ahead and start with you. But the options were Kratos, Marcus Phoenix, Mario, and then other. So I didn't do the obvious thing and put a woman on here, a woman character, because that would have blew away the rest of the options. So I just put a other option here. So we did get some different options, but personally for you, BG, which one would you choose and why, even if it was another option?
I'm probably gonna have to go with Marcus Phoenix.
Oh wow, okay.
I think like out of all those, I think like Marcus Phoenix is actually a normal pretty grounded, normal human being. You know, like and with my personality, I wouldn't want somebody to annoy me. Like Marcus is like one of those people. Like, listen, we don't gotta talk. You know, we could just chill here. You know, a personality that's not too pushy and overbearing. You know, he just likes to chill. He quiet. He doesn't talk unless he has to. He's one of those. So I think our personalities would mesh pretty well. We wouldn't annoy each other, drive each other crazy.
Yeah, I feel you. I can see that. Now, I didn't think of it in that particular point because you do got a massive personalities here. So another thing is utility. You got to think about that, BG. Take him to the grocery store. You don't have no problems.
Facts.
The grocery full armor. I mean, I'm sure you can get all the bread, all the water you need to get without any issues. So utility as well. So we got to think about this in the real world stance. But that's a great option. I don't think Marcus fit with me because I like to talk and like to have fun. He probably end up whooping my ass halfway through quarantine. So I'd probably get on his nerves. So either way, good option, BG. Let's go ahead and roll this over to you, Stag. Which option did you choose and why?
Man, I chose Kratos just because, I mean, dude's a fucking god. I mean, and I figure once I run out of toilet paper, he can go get it for me, you know, so.
Wait.
But honestly, I was thinking about it like, I know there's no females in the poll, but like I got to thinking about it today, and like one of my favorite games is like not the old Tomb Raiders, but the newer last 3 or 4. And like she's intelligent, resourceful, she can shoot a fucking gun, and she looks good. So I might change my answer. Like it's the toss up between Lara Croft and fucking Kratos at this point.
I knew that was gonna happen because somebody actually posted Lara Croft
Princess Peach.
Yeah. So oh good lord, we're not doing that.
Oh man,
she don't need to be saved. You're gonna have to go outside constantly to save her.
Yeah, I mean, then you got to fight Bowser. Yeah, damn.
Every 30, it's ridiculous.
Fire breathing.
Dude, dragon. At any moment, something could kick in your door and steal Princess Peach. You know, anything could happen around her.
That's true. Yeah, she's pretty accident prone. But either way,
at least Lara Croft would shoot somebody trying to trying to take her.
That's true. Things get worse. You know, she already got experience in like these life-threatening situations. So
exactly.
And she, like I said, and she looks good. So I guess that.
And she's super intelligent. She'd keep you on your toes with conversation.
Put a woman character in the chat. I knew it would run away with the option.
Well, gaming guys would be all like, "Oh, pussy."
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So good choice. Good choice either way. Now let's go ahead and throw this over to Houston Terra and get your opinion. Out of those options, would you choose and why, brother?
Man, when you put that poll out, I had to take a step back and I was like, man, this is the most in-depth thought I've ever had to put into a subject like this. Like, who would I want kicking around my house? I'm gonna go with Marcus Phoenix. I mean, like, don't ask me why. I was raised by my grandfather, who was a World War II vet, so it'd be kind of fun to listen to Marcus kind of reflect on things of old, but also at the same time, dude knows how to garden, and that is
true.
I didn't think about that.
That is a big thing going on today.
Tomatoes,
exactly. And the cool thing is, if anybody tried to run up on your garden, we all know he's going to curb stop somebody.
That's true. Utility garden. I didn't even think about that. God. Yeah, I didn't think about that. I sure didn't. Damn it, I didn't catch that.
Ditto.
So that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, and that reinforces BG's pick as well. I don't know if you thought about the gardening, BG, but
no, I didn't.
You there?
I remember the gardening scene. Yeah,
dude, not my tomatoes. That was one of the best parts of Gears 4 right there.
Too much. And last but not least, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, man. Out of those options, brother, which one do you choose and why, man?
I originally went with other, and I was thinking as far as like a female character, and not probably for the reasons you guys are thinking, but no, because I was thinking Lara Croft just because, you know, like Stag was saying, resourceful. You know, it would be one of those things where if we do have to go out and get resupplies and things like that, I don't think I would have as much of an issue dealing with finding, you know, either resources or anything along those lines, and then. Thinking from one of my more favorite games of my past, Shondi from Saints Row. So those were the ones that came to mind.
Okay. No, I like it. I like switching up.
I always thought he was just going to pick his favorite Forza car, to be honest.
I know, right? Forza cars is not an option because he damn sure would have picked the Forza car. Damn sure.
Let's just go sit in the garage, though. No,
I want Hoonigan running around the house. Go drift some cars.
I know, right? Terrible, man. But either way. So let me go ahead and get to my choice. I actually think I picked Kratos in my head when I actually was putting the poll together, only because I think because of my personality, I think we get a lot of things done. Obviously, there's utility of taking them places. You don't have any problems with social distancing. You got the chains of Olympus. You can get things off the shelf without touching anybody. So I mean, it's a nice option. And I think he's just a cool dude. I think ultimately, hang around him alone. Play some cards, some dominoes, something like that. I think it would be cool to hang around out with personally. So that would have been my option. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. Once again, that was just a warm up. Everything we talk about here, chat, is also for you guys. So let us know what your answers are as well in the chat below. Once again, appreciate everybody coming out watching. Make sure you retweet that link on Twitter so that we can pack this thing out. But once again, let's go ahead and get to the next topic, man. So the next topic today, excuse me, sorry about that. Get some water here. I do apologize. It's going to be the Ps5 Dualsense controller. I've been wanting to talk about this for about a week and a half now. We didn't get a chance to talk about it last week, so we're definitely going to dive in right now. Once again, BG, we're going to start with you because you are the guest of the hour, and I know you recently did a video specifically on your channel about the controller, but I just wanted to get your overall opinion. What do you think of the rollout? What do you think of the controller? Yay, nay? I mean, where you at with it so far on the limited information we have?
So the only thing I didn't like about the controller was the color the default color.
Okay.
I'm just not a fan of most people don't have anything white in their setup. So that was my only problem with it. But I do like that it's two-tone because with a lot of the mock-ups we've seen people make, it creates a lot of possibilities that the DualShock 4 couldn't have. Because of the form factor and the lack of two-tone, right? And we've seen a lot of mock-ups that people make, and in the past, Sony's custom consoles or themed consoles, they were always lacking. They were always like pretty lazy. So I think this opens the opportunity for them to have better custom controllers and custom consoles in the future for games with the PS5. I'm glad they made the light bar more minimal. It's it's on the side. That'll probably save battery life. They're claiming it's going to have a better battery life.
True.
There's going to have the haptic feedback and the improved triggers, so you can actually have something tactile and use it to immerse the gamer better in the experience. If you're like shooting a gun or drawing a bow, we've heard them say that. It's very similar in form factor to the DualShock 4. It's just they've made they've widened it out slightly and then made the handles a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And besides that, they've just improved upon some featers with it, with the microphone array and things like that. So I think it's a good controller.
Okay.
I didn't want it to change too much. I've never had a problem with the DualShock controller. So I know some people have had, but yeah, I'm glad they pretty much kept it completely the same, with the symmetrical sticks and everything like that. So yeah,
got it. Okay,
that's my only problem. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I like that option too. I was kind of I was indifferent about the two-tone at first. The more and more I looked at it, I'm like, that could be interesting. It could be interesting. And it kind of gives us an idea of what the controller, but the actual console could potentially look like. So I think because of the two-tone, it gives some interesting leeway as far as like colors, later on, and custom consoles later on, kind of like you were saying, BG. But overall, I think it's a good adaptation. It's a good upgrade. Ultimately, it's the same controller, for the most part. Like you said, I think the biggest difference was the form factor. It did get a little wider, got a little fatter. So other than that, like I said, that's my overall genuine opinion on the controller going forward. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Stag, about your opinion about the controller. I know we've talked about this kind of in private, just in the DMs and on Twitter. But what's your overall opinion on the DS5? And, just was it up to your expectations, or did it kind of, was it about what you thought it was going to be?
I mean, I really had no expectations, when it comes to the controller. I mean, Sony hasn't shown us a lot yet recently. So, showing us controller was nice, but I agree. I don't like the white. Not a real big fan of that. I do have a Xbox One S around the house along with my other consoles. That's what it is. It is white. So I do have a white S, controller. So that's not a big deal, but I do like how the controller looks like it's gotten a little bit bigger and emulates the Xbox style controller a little bit. I do disagree with where the thumbstick placement is. I really am not a fan of the symmetrical. I like the offset controllers. I have a Switch Pro controller that I use when I hook my Switch up and dock it, and I love that thing. It's just a big fan of offset sticks. That just feels normal to me. I don't know about the touchscreen thing. Like, I don't use it much on my PS4 now as it is. I think it's a cool little feature. The mic thing doesn't really appeal to me just because I don't do any multiplayer gaming almost at all on my PlayStation. All I do on that is exclusives. And then even on Xbox, I don't really do any multiplayer. I don't do multiplayer, but I do a little bit of co-op gaming. So the microphone doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah.
The only I did see some people talking about, because of this color scheme and the lack of color on the buttons, that some colorblind people or people that not 100% colorblind but just have problems differentiating that stuff might have a hard time, because they won't be able to. Yeah, maybe they won't be able to tell. I mean, but you should at this point. I mean, if you're a gamer, you probably know the layout of the controller, right? You know, unless
That's
you're.
true.
I mean, most people know, where all the buttons are on all three controllers. What gets me is switching back and forth. I'm finally getting to the point where, like, I can go from my PS4 controller to my Xbox and back and forth, and not have to look down like, where's the square button? But I think it's a good controller. I'm curious to see more. I can't wait. I don't like the white. I do like the two-tone, and I look forward to. God, I already collect Xbox controllers. I don't know if I need to start collecting PlayStation controllers too, man. But yeah, it looks like a good controller. Like I said, we've talked about it, and we talked about it in some other people's feeds of the evolution of the controller. But I mean, it definitely does look like they took a little bit from the Xbox. I mean, I know other brands do it too, but Xbox has been doing that kind of a fatter controller since the 360 days. I mean, the Duke on the OG was ridiculous, but that thing was ridiculous. Yeah. I can't even believe they put it out again. Like, hey, come buy this. I'm like, I don't even want that for my collection. But I think it was a move in the right direction. I just wish they'd move the thumbstick where I believe it belongs.
Got it. Okay, and I kind of want to go back to you, BG, on that one. As far as I know, you own pretty much every console. You play on PC as well from time to time. But as far as the symmetrical versus asymmetrical, do you think the reason you're comfortable is that is because you don't have an issue going back and forth? And like, what would you say to somebody who like has an issue with the asymmetrical versus symmetrical? Like, that's just to me, it seems like people that don't have an issue with that are just people that are just already acclimated with the two controllers. Is that more so where you're at with it? Is that why you kind of don't really have a problem with that?
I mean, I've never really like understood. Why people at what point did people get more comfortable with offset? Because the 360 controller, well, not the 360 controller, the original, the OG like Xbox controller, had it like that. But we played with symmetrical pretty much all up until that point. Yeah. The Dreamcast, there was one controller like that had offset, but before the OG Xbox. But like for the most part, up until then, we had symmetrical. So I guess I don't know exactly where it was.
The majority of the people I hear complain have big hands, I guess. I don't have a lot of
stuff before they did the thumbsticks was just D-pads too. So, I mean, I don't know, like the PS1 controller, that doesn't even have a thumbstick. So,
yeah. But like, even like even if it wasn't like exactly a thumbstick, like everything else has like always been, symmetrical as far as like a controller goes. And I mean, I would say like I have pretty big hands, and like I've always felt like that, but I've never, I guess I had a discussion like this on my podcast, but I guess it's also, the way I hold a controller. Like some people have said their thumbs touch. I'm like, I don't understand how your thumbs touch. Like if you hold the controller, the way I do. So I don't know. I think it's just personally how you hold the controller.
Yeah, and I gotta say, to add on to that, like I don't have a problem using the PS4 controller and the setup as it is. It doesn't bother me. I just prefer. I mean, I think because I've predominantly been an Xbox gamer for so long. I mean, I've owned almost every system that's been around for the last 40 years, but I've predominantly since 15 years ago, played on Xbox, so I've gotten really used to that. And then and I didn't like the PS3. I wasn't a fan of the PS2. And then I got a PS4 and I love the exclusives. So I've just PS4 was like the first since PS1 controller that actually felt good in my hands. So.
Yeah, that's true. So I think, I would agree with both you guys. It's personal preference, really, at the end of the day. And like you said, I mean, I don't know, because I didn't even think about that, BG. That is true. If you go back, it really didn't start up until, the OG Xbox. We started getting the offset, buttons, controller, whatever the case may be, that layout in particular. I didn't even think about that, but that is definitely a relevant point. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion. Just get your genuine opinion on the DS5, the DualSense controller. What'd you think about it? Was it right about where you thought it was going to be at?
Yes, it's right where I thought it was going to be at, but that's purely because now forgive me, I'm not knocking, but to me this was meh. Okay. It's just like finally we've got haptic feedback, and I understand that if you really look at the technology between rumble triggers and haptic feedback, you could say it's different, but the end result is the same. So to me, it's something where I feel like I'm on the same hill Staggers on. Like, I'm glad that you guys have put a lot of work and effort into the controller. It looks amazing. I'm glad you thought it out. What about the other half?
What do you mean by that?
You need a console to come with a controller.
Okay. They're going to get a form factor in June, probably. Yeah, I was
going to say, I
know. Yeah. I'm just saying that it's, to me, it's like, okay, cool, you threw us a bone. We got to see the controller. But, like, I'm going to be upfront. As of June, as soon as June passes by, July 1st, if I have not still seen a form factor of the PS5, I'm probably going to start being one of those ones that are just like, I think there might be something to all the rumors and conjecture that are going on as of July 1st if we haven't seen nothing, because like I said, I'm excited. I'm glad to see that they've put this much effort into the PS5, but I'm really wanting to know more about the console itself. And then and also all the Twitter banner on how we're judging a console now based on its controller. This has been actually really fun to watch it unfold on social media. You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't try to entertain.
Dude, the sad part is it actually got outside of social media. It actually got into some gaming journalism where now we have articles that say Series X controller versus PS5 controller, and just ridiculous. All this other stuff. It was just like all over the place. One article was slamming it. The other one was congratulating the PS5 controller. I mean, it was just really crazy to just watch it all unfold.
Yeah, so I mean, we don't really get into that. At the end of the day, it's a controller. It's preference mostly. At the end of the day, 9 times out of 10. So either way, he's gonna play a game. Most people are sitting in front of that TV. They're not going to be thinking about what's in their hand for the most part. So
we're talking about controller preferences here. You want to know my preference? I prefer the dead weight of the Xbox One controller. I don't know why. I love the feeling of a good set of solid batteries in my controller. And just having that dead weight, that is one of the reasons why I actually loved the Elite controller, because they're even heavier. I know some people deter from that.
E1 is so heavy.
Huh?
E1 is so heavy.
Is the Elite 2 lighter?
Oh my god, it's like, dude, yeah. I own it. I love it.
Okay.
I play with it constantly, and I gave my Elite 1 away.
Jesus.
I gave it away.
I've babied my Elite 1. It's still in really good primo condition. But I see the Elite 2. Obviously, I'm always wanting to kind of like play with the new toys, and I want to get an Elite 2, but it's just like there's nothing wrong with my Elite 1.
Yeah, might as well hold off then. Might as well hold off.
Exactly, yeah.
So let's go ahead and throw this over to Fuzzy, just get his general opinion on the PS5 DualSense controller. What do you guys think about it, or what does he think about it in general? So, Fuzz, let's go ahead and throw this over to you, man. What do you think about this controller? I know we didn't get a chance to talk about it last week, man, so let's get it.
Well, I like the fact that it looks like it's bulked up a little bit as far as the overall shaping. It looks like it's going to be a little bit more ergonomic in comparison to the DualShock 4, which is kind of like a grown up DualShock 3 and so forth. But not a fan of the two-tone, and maybe it's just because it's in black and white. Like if it was in black and gray or something that's a little bit darker, I'd be fine. Yeah.
Or even
Me
all
and
grain,
white
like the
controllers,
OG
I don't care
OG
how
PlayStation.
many times I wash my hands, no Doritos are eaten during gameplay or anything like that. I'm going to get smudges on it, and I don't want smudges on the controller. So it's going to be one of those things where if that's going to be the default controller that comes with it, I'm probably going to have to get some sort of skin to put on it or have it sent to be painted or just buy one of the, because they're probably going to have like different color scheme ones out there at like launch day or shortly after. I'll probably just wind up getting that. But
See, real quick, Fuzz, man, like I've got the white controller for the Xbox, and my kids use it, and you know how kids are, and it's still white. I'm just saying, like, just to interject a little bit, like I got kids that use a white controller, and it's actually still white. So I don't know how much
Sweaty
weight that
palms.
argument's gonna hold in the long run.
for me, like I had the
The hell you rubbing that thing
controller I
on,
had.
bro?
I think I had the Sunset Overdrive one, and that one, it stays white, but it's got like little smudges I can see on the edge, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna wipe it with alcohol, and it cleans it up and stuff. But
Fair enough.
it's like I don't know. Maybe it's my OCD on that because
Even with my black,
I just feel like I'm cleaning that one a lot more than a lot of my other controllers. But like even the Ghost White one that I have, whatever that fade to clear type of thing, that one
white
gets a little bit of smudges too, and it's like. So that one's just going up in the case. It's not getting used anymore. But outside of that, overall, I like what I see that they've improved upon as far as the look of the D-pad, as far as the look of the buttons and things like that. The thumbsticks thing, I would have preferred it be offset as well. But, for driving games, I'm fine with the symmetrical. I don't really play that many first-person or third-person games on it. And those that I do, if it really becomes a thing where I'm going to play a lot more on my PlayStation, then I'll probably wind up buying I guess it's the Astro or whatever their equivalent of the Elite, where you can either switch the thumbsticks or it already comes with the opposing thumbs or offset or asymmetric.
There's also a dongle you can get that you can plug into your PS4 that will actually allow an Xbox One controller to operate on a PS4.
I have one.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen that before.
I don't even use it.
I need to probably get that for the steering wheel because that would be the biggest thing. For driving games, I prefer steering wheel first, but I'll probably wind up doing something like that at some point. At least switch my steering wheel over from my Xbox One X to the PlayStation.
While it's on the top of my head, can I point out one thing that just like totally just popped in my head?
Yeah.
Like, so the new PS5 controller has a microphone in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so what happens when you're using that microphone playing a heavy multiplayer game and the person on the other end of that controller is on a headset and you're sitting there clacking away on your controller?
Well, you can mute it as well.
Huh?
You can mute it.
No, but obviously, but I mean, like, if you were like in mid-sentence and still talking, I'm just kind of curious on, is there going to be like some noise canceling technology involved?
I'm going to assume they did something about that.
I'm assume so.
Yeah, they confirmed noise canceling.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, they did.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah. I still think it's like a waste of a piece in there, but the only time I think it could be useful is like, a lot of people with their setup, they have their headphones actually connected to the computer because they communicate through Discord, I do. Yeah. In-game chat is a little bit dead, unfortunately. But the only time I would use it is if, something in-game, I need to scream out to my teammate real quick to do something important in-game. And usually what I've had to do with the lack of a microphone is I have to just plug in a cheap microphone to my PS4. That's usually what I had to do, so I don't have to do that anymore now. But other than that, like, nobody should be using it as their like primary way of communicating.
Yeah, and they're definitely gonna have to test that too because I'm definitely curious. And another thing is functionality. I know you just said, BG, that you feel like it, potentially could, is a wasted piece. But I mean, the utility, if there's that something kind of like the touchpad, because we didn't get much utility out of the touchpad with the PS4. I mean, there was very few games that took advantage of the touchpad, so it's kind of that. Is that where you're coming from, as far as not necessarily the touchpad, but just about the additional feature? Is that kind of what you mean by you feel like it's kind of an extra piece?
Yeah, I mean, like, developers used it for like the first year, and then they completely forgot it existed after that. So, it might be a similar thing with this. I mean, some people brought up like, it gives the chance to like, for developers to use things like in-game voice commands. And like, we've had that existed during the PS2 on paper it sounds good, but in reality, nobody wants to scream commands.
Nobody does. They've done it with Xbox games too, and they never get really popular. So
yeah.
I
that
feel
whole
like
Cortana thing was
Yeah,
annoying
that
because
was
you'd say
annoying,
certain
man.
things and they would interrupt in the middle of the game, and it's like, oh, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, that could be tricky. So I get you on that one, BG. I completely 100% agree on that because that was one of my initial reactions when I heard about the chat being built in or the actual mic being built in. I'm like, wait, I mean, you sitting there, in the party chat or whatever in game, and some kid screaming, "Hey, mom, bring me another soda, some chips, or something crazy." You don't want to hear that all day, but I know there's an option to mute it. But I mean, I don't actually know how many people are going to take advantage of it because think about it. Anybody who's been gaming, 90% of the people gaming more than likely have a headset at this particular point, or they don't chat at all. So there's really one or two things. Most people either have a headset, use it all the time, or just don't go in party chat. So I don't know how popular that option will be used as far as developers either. Definitely curious to see where they're going to go with that as well. So I want to make sure I got to everybody. Fuzz, I know I didn't get to you particularly on this one. So what's your opinion on the DualShock and just the utility and just where you at with the design?
Well, I'm good with it. It was just the two tones. The only thing I'm not really a fan of.
Oh, that's right. Just want to make sure. Okay, cool. So we can go ahead and throw this over to the next subject. So once again, everybody in the chat, appreciate you guys. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you guys. Consistency. We got a bunch of people diving in here. Let me give a quick shout out. Bacon Life. We got Def Jam Bam. Bombers in here. Crazy Greek. Shout out to Shown 2 Mod of the Year. I see you lurking, Stag in the chat. Stay creeping in there. We got somebody. I don't know if that's Japanese in the chat as well, but I shout out to you, man. I don't know what it's saying, but appreciate the support, man, and you coming in. But let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, man. So this next thing is going to be about GTA 6. We got some information recently that it was in early development. I know we've been talking about GTA 6 here on the channel, kind of here and there. And we've always talked about them essentially not having a timeline and or calendar at all because Rockstar can put the game out any damn time they feel like putting it out. But to hear that is at this point, it is in early development, and I mean, how old is GTA 5 at this point? 7 years old? Something crazy. It came out at the end of the last generation. 6.5, 7 years old, and they're just starting on that. Now, obviously, they've done other things. We had Red Dead Redemption 2, I'm sure, which took quite a bit of time. I'm sure they had a majority of the studio working on that, but this is crazy to think that we may not get a GTA till God knows when. So I want to get your opinion on that, BG. I know the report just came out recently. So, I mean, what are you at with GTA 6? Is it you still in the mind that this thing just going to come out whenever it wants to? Did it kind of deflate you a little bit, or are you not really worried about it at all?
No, I'm not really worried about it. With any project from Rockstar and Take-Two, you kind of got to just like erase it from your mind. You can't like really think about it, or it's like years are going to pass by till you get it. So that's not really something I like keep on my mind. Like, oh, I'm looking forward or I'm waiting for the next GTA. I don't think about that stuff. But I mean, GTA is, of course, we always look forward to the next one, but I try not to think about that too much.
Got it. Okay, cool. Not a problem. I understand that because I mean, it's tough not to talk about because, like you said, we're super impatient as gamers. We want everything as quickly as possible, but we all understand Rockstar is they're the top tier dev, and they're gonna take as much time as they need to take. And I don't think anybody ultimately can have a problem with that because of the results they always deliver. At the end of the day. So I agree with BG on that point. Not something that really thought about too much, not for me personally, but it is something that was talked about this week, and so we just want to get everybody's opinion. So Stag, talk about this with you, bro. Just kind of get your overall opinion on them just starting, development on the game, and where you at with this.
I mean, cool. I didn't really get into Grand Theft Auto at all until 5. I really, really enjoyed that game. I actually finished it on 360, and then I have it on 1, but I'm like, I don't know if I want to go back and play that all over again. I really did. I loved all the character development and the stories of this. Just you had 3 totally different, timeline like lifestyles to play. I mean, you had your drug addict, you had your banger, and you had your like fucking mobster kind of guy, which was really cool. So you got all that action. It'd be really, really interesting to see where they go. If it's going to be more of those 3, if they're going to move to maybe new characters. But like BG said, it's not something that I'm like, oh my god, clamoring for. It's and also with that company, they work on one game at a time, and
they're on their own timetable.
They perfect it, and and I also was reading that it might not all roll out at once, so they might do a slow roll of the game, like release content over time, which will to reduce some of that like crunch time that they've been getting nailed for by the public lately, and working mandatory 5,000-hour weeks or whatever. I'm totally exaggerating, obviously, but so yeah, we might get a slow rollout. Will we get will people get their multiplayer day one? Will we get the entire campaign, or will it be season pass added DLC for a cost, or will you buy a $60 game up front, or and get everything over time? Who knows? But it'll be a great next gen game. We can guarantee that, and it's going to sell a lot. People are going to love it. And I'm not going to hold my breath, as I know most of us here and most people listening all have enormous backlogs. I don't need a 100-hour campaign to play right now. You know what I mean? Or whatever the hell it's going to be. Yeah. So
okay,
I've got enough of those that I'm not even opening. So
I feel you on that, man. I want to throw this back to BG for a quick second, because he did bring up a good point. So as far as now, this is something that it's way too early for us to even know about this. It's true or not, but it is kind of cool to just kind of speculate about the changes GTA can make now. Obviously, with the success, they don't necessarily need to change anything. But Rockstar, they're always pushing the envelope. But what would you be opposed to that kind of episodic take to GTA, BG? Like, would that be something you open to? Like, if it just comes out gradually and they give us content kind of gradually, kind of Hitman style?
I don't think GTA has any reason to do that. Like, I'm okay with episodic if y'all have like valid reasons, but I can't think of any valid reason they would need to do that. They already take the equivalent to like a whole generation to make a game. So when you do that, I don't think you have any reason to make an episodic game, in my opinion.
Got it. Okay. So just due to the timetable and the amount of time they take, you're right. I think that by that point you should have a full game if you're taking 5 to 7 years to make one. So I agree with you. That doesn't really fit the time. That doesn't fit the timetable to go Telltale style after that length of dev time. But okay, cool. Let's throw this over to you, Centurion. We got your genuine opinion on the GTA 6. Just what's been going on, and them saying that they're just starting. It's super early in development at this point, so we may not get this thing for another 4 or 5 years. Who knows? So what do you think about it?
Well, for one, don't get me wrong, Grand Theft Auto is a great game. I'm like Stagger. I didn't get into Grand Theft Auto really as a series until Grand Theft Auto 5. For some reason, that story just kind of
man. Woo.
No, I played other. I played
Grand Theft.
I played Grand Theft Auto 3. I played Grand Theft Auto Vice City. I've tried them all.
Got it. Okay.
But Grand Theft Auto 5 was was the only Grand Theft Auto that was like, I need to get to the end of this game. I want to know how this all unfolds between these three. Okay. Because the 3 characters of that game were just so well thought out. And it's kind of something that Rockstar is actually starting to kind of hit stride in. If you take a look at Red Dead Redemption 2, you just want, even though the game, yes, was slow at times and could be like watching paint dry, but you still wanted to see the story between these individuals unfold. And just the quality of Red Dead Redemption 2 right there tells me that Rockstar Games obviously knows what they're doing, because that wasn't even HDR. That was fake HDR. That there was some stuff in that game to fool us into thinking that game was something that it wasn't, because it was actually built on older tech. And they've already come out and talked about in Grand Theft Auto 6 that they don't want Grand Theft Auto 6 to be a game that's going to be on generations of platforms. They want to concentrate on the newer generation of platforms, which are the Series X and the PS5. So at that point, of course, they're going to outweight the older consoles, and we already know that Xbox has come out and said at that point it's going to be around 2 years before they're completely phased out and everything is on Series X at that point. So definitely I could see that's why they're probably just waiting it out, because they want to use a much stronger console, because they want to take their franchise to the next level. Episodic, sorry, Stagger. I love you, man, but I don't see them doing episodic. I see them doing a premium single player experience that's going to pull everybody in, and they're going to start rolling out their next crack, which is going to be their online service of whatever they're going to hatch out for Grand Theft Auto, because right now Grand Theft Auto Online is printing money quicker than the IRS handing out stimulus checks at this point. And I mean, dude, I am absolutely floored in the amount of revenue that Grand Theft Auto 5, a game that came out on the Xbox 360 and the PS3, is still current in 2020 today, and it is
crazy.
Printing money hand over fist.
Yeah, it's insane, the longevity of that game. It really is. Like, we knew the game would be big once 5 came out, but we didn't. I don't know if anybody anticipated being a generation long type situation where literally the game just lived off its multiplayer for the most part, just for the online stuff. But they've done a fantastic job to keep people interested. I'm not a big fan of the GTA Online. I don't really play it. I'm not gonna sit up here and fake and fraud like I do. It's just not my thing, but there's millions and millions of people that have. So I'm super impressed with the longevity. And like everybody's been saying, so far, there's no timetable on this. I do agree, Centurion. I think that's a great point. You brought up that they do want to use the new, obviously the new hardware exclusively. So I mean, I assume they're thinking this generation is gonna last at least 5. If they're gonna wait, because I don't think we're getting this thing with 2 years even. I think that's even too short. I think you got to add another 2 on that at the very least, maybe 1 if they do it fast. And I don't think they're in a rush to do anything. So we'll definitely see what happens. But let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. Get your opinion on GTA 6, just what they've said so far. Any expectations you have?
All right, is everybody ready to put on their tinfoil hat?
Oh Lord, here we go.
Hold on, let me go to the kitchen.
Get on that soapbox.
All right. I'm gonna start with Leslie Benzies. Left there. What was it, like 5 or 6 years ago? Took a sabbatical, came back. He's like, I can't do this anymore. I don't know if they burned him out or whatever the case is. He was like their main game director for like at least all but I guess the very first one. I think the Hauser brothers were like the main game directors for the first one, and he kind of took that role from there on out. He left, started his own company. He's working on a game called Everywhere. I almost guarantee you that game's going to come out before GTA 6.
Wow.
Now, the key question is going to be, since Dan Hauser left, where he's going after leaving Rockstar. I mean, that's your main writer. That's your main writer for Red Dead Redemption. That's your main writer for all of the GTAs. Both of them are gone. Now, Rockstar is a very deep, diverse company that has plenty of talent. They don't need 2 individuals to make the game, but when you have basically 2 out of 3 of the founding fathers are gone, I don't know. I'm not surprised that it's in early development. I'm surprised it's even in development. I'm thinking that's maybe just a press statement just to kind of keep their investors from panicking, especially since GTA 5 is still printing money. But I'm going to say we don't see this until the tail end of the next generation, and it's going to be dog shit. But that's my guess. I've been saying this for a while. You don't lose 2 out of your 3 founding fathers on a game series, the entire series, and think that everything's going to be okay. Other people will be able to slide in, pick up from where they left off, but nah. I think Everywhere is going to be the replacement for GTA. I'm calling it now. I said it before, and I'll keep on saying it until we see more about Everywhere. So
that's bold. That's definitely a bold statement. I don't know, man. That's tough to say. I mean, honestly, if you lose 2 impactful people like those 2 gentlemen,
he's got 2 bold ones recently. He's got the PS5 getting delayed, and now GTA is going to be dog
man.
shit.
Hey,
I don't know.
Remember the last time something was labeled a Destiny killer?
Oh, here we go. Stop it. We put this shit in. So, BG, if you don't know, at some point in every single show since 2020 started, we've somehow managed to fit Anthem in the show at least once.
Actually, technically, I never said its name. I just got you to say it.
Get the fuck out of here. We knew exactly what you were talking about.
I said I was playing it earlier in the show.
That's true. See, look.
No, seeing you guys play it in my friends list has made me. I should really put that in and give that. I want to give that game a whirl again.
I don't know. We're not going to.
I want to run around the jungle. I want to feel like Iron Man. I want to shoot some stuff. Hell yeah! I still to this day, there is no experience, none other than piloting a javelin.
That's true.
I don't think Anthem is nowhere as bad as people made it out to seem. I was one of those people that said it. Like, is it a great game? No. Is it very good?
Dumpster fire?
No. It had a lot of potential that just wasn't executed correctly.
BG, tell him. BG,
it's still fun to play.
You got to tell. Every time I dive into it, and we just recently got back into it, the skeleton of the game, it's so much potential, and it hurts my heart because I was a big advocate when I first saw it. I'm like, oh, this. I had planned on spending a majority of the time that year playing that game. That was going to be my go-to.
So did
Dude,
here.
And
you get to shoot and be Iron Man.
Oh,
The gameplay is solid. The gameplay is definitely solid.
Oh, come on!
Beta was so much fun.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So we may talk about that just to end the show, but let's go ahead and get into this last topic. Now, I know the question obviously has changed on the last topic because they've actually come out and say they've already come out and announced that we're going to be getting Crysis Remastered. They tweeted out something real quick, and they hadn't tweeted in like 3 years on their Twitter account, and so we're obviously getting a Crysis Remaster. I know, Stag, how you feel about the remasters and remakes, but I want to get at I may exclude your ass from this one because I already know where you at with those things. But I want to get your opinion, BG, on the Crysis. Necessary, to me personally, I feel like Crytek, I don't know if they're working on any game, but they need to be figuring out what's next besides this. I don't know if this is a placeholder just to kind of say, hey, look, we're still working on stuff. Because Crytek has been extremely quiet. But what do you think about just the Crysis and getting the remaster? You feel like it's necessary, or kind of just you're not really looking for that, or?
Crysis remastered. I'm looking forward. I am looking forward to Crysis remastered. I'm not crazy. I was never crazy about Crysis as a franchise. I don't think it was ever that great of a first person shooter. At least 2 and 3.
Thank you.
At least 2 and 3. I think the hype about it.
I like 2.
Has mainly been the visuals. But I think if you take the visuals away, like the whole legend of Crysis doesn't exist without them visuals and that engine.
Oh, that's a bold. Crysis. If you remember, BG, I'm sure you do. I'm probably preaching to the choir here.
The first one is actually the best one though. The first one is the best.
I don't know, BG. I like 2. I like 2. I don't know.
Second best. The third one is.
Opinions are always subjective.
It's only gotten worse.
That's true. I agree. So, and BG, Crysis used to, if you couldn't run Crysis, you didn't have a good rig. That used to be the barometer that people measured their PCs. I don't know if you remember that, BG, back in the day.
And that's what helped it become the legend. It was never necessarily, nobody, as far as I know, and I beat all of them, nobody really had these moments where they were like, oh, you remember this part of Crysis? No, it was, oh, could you run Crysis? It was never the game. It was never the game itself.
That's a good point. That's facts.
Yeah.
Big facts. Speaking of big facts here. Okay, so I don't know, man. So do you feel like is Crytek doing anything else? They've been quiet for a long time. I know some of us, wanted, Rise 2. Obviously, that's kind of who knows what's going to be going on with that. But if they even have time to do that, but do you feel like this is kind of them getting warmed up? They're going to be working on other things. BG, do you feel like are you on that train as well, or you're not really looking for Crytek like that?
I'm not really checking. I know they had financial troubles a while back. I believe that's why they haven't they made that VR game, and that was okay, kind of it. But yeah, I think they've been having financial trouble, and that's why they haven't really been making a lot of games. So I'm not really checking for them like that, honestly.
Okay, cool. All right, fair. So Stag, I'm gonna let you in on this one. This may be extremely quick, but I'm gonna let you in on this one, Stag. Just where you at on this, man? Do you care for it?
I've never really cared for the series. I've tried multiple. I can't fucking talk. I've tried multiple times. It just never really grabbed or appealed to me, and that was back when I really was super into first-person shooters. I still like them. I just don't play them nearly as much as I used to. For third-person shooters, shooters in general. But you all know how I feel about remasters. I'm tired of it. But maybe it's leading into what is it? Would it be the 4th iteration of the series?
Yeah, if they did decide to do that, it could be reboot.
Yeah, so maybe that's what they're doing. Just saying maybe they're just doing this. and then they're going to do a new title next gen. Maybe that's kind of what I was getting at. So, but just to keep like that hype alive for the series, you know. And I mean, dude, remasters are killing it right now with with everybody. I mean, look at RE and
Final
other
Fantasy.
games. Yeah, I mean, just remasters is a big market. It seems like the last couple of years. I'm not a fan of it, but you know, I know love. I do. We all see what's going on Twitter. People love it. People eat that shit up like chocolate pudding. I don't know, but I fucking new IPs.
Well, I mean, so
or at least new games. Not it doesn't have to be even be a new IP. Just give me like, you know,
well,
like
to be fair,
extension of the series.
If you're gonna put out remasters, now is the time because we are closing out a generation.
Yeah, definitely.
For a new one, so these are nice games to fill that gap. There's still games people are excited about as well, so they do have some functionality. They do have a large crowd behind them as well. So I know Final Fantasy's been received extremely well. So is RE3. So I know both of those have done really, really well. I don't know about sales, not that even matters, but I know they've reviewed well. I hear people talking about them all the time. So I do agree about remasters. They are killing it right now. So, but those are really, really well done remasters because we know throughout the generation we gotten some. Slap a good coat of paint on it and call it a day. That's really all you're getting. But and I hope they're actually going to do something different with this Crisis remaster because I mean it's been God knows how many years since the last one. I can't even remember when 3 came out. But so hopefully they give us something to be excited about, not just hey, these are the graphics that you guys remember, you know, buy our game, you know, because I'm hoping it's a little bit more than that. So we'll definitely see. But Centurion, let's get your opinion on this. What do you think about Crisis? Did you play the first 3 games, or where you at on Crisis?
Where I'm at is over here at the fraud bushes trimming them because no, I have not played
Jesus
them.
Christ, we got to get you
now. But
favorite place to be.
I did buy. And now here's the other part. I just recently bought them probably 2-3 months ago. They're in my backlog because Xbox actually put them all on sale. Because I wanted to know what the hype was about. Because I'll be upfront, I was too young to really do the Crisis thing with the PC rig and all that.
Making me feel old, bro.
Huh?
Making me feel old over here. It wasn't that long ago, was it?
Maybe I was definitely never hard into the PC scene, and well, at least my parents would never give me that expensive of a rig. We'll just say that there's no way.
Okay.
Parents hated you.
Right? Yeah, right. Anyways, but no. God, you threw me off my game, Stagger. So back on the
another week perfected.
So back on the Crytek. One thing I want to say about doing a remaster, like our guest said earlier, the one thing that has been hyped around this game, I'm going to be upfront. I barely know anything about Crysis. I've heard a lot of people talk about Crysis. The only thing I know about Crysis is that could your rig run it? and that's pretty much the story behind this game. Yeah. And when you have a story like that and you're talking about remastering the game, the last thing you want to do is half-ass that. Excuse saying it like that, but I mean, like, when you are known for creating a game that was so graphically superior that, like, pretty much the first question in conversation was, could your rig run it? Like, now, what's going to happen if we got a company like Digital Foundry that will completely pick apart every pixel of the game, and you don't want to basically be caught kind of being lazy and, you know, kind of halving it.
Okay, well, I agree with that.
I feel like they're their own worst enemy in this situation. If they get lazy and kind of do a half job, it could backfire.
I don't know this because I don't actually know, and I think BG would probably back me up with this. I don't think anybody was asking for this. Would you agree, BG?
Exactly.
Nobody was really checking for it. I mean, if anything, some people wanted a sequel, but nobody was checking for a remaster.
Oh, exactly, and that's why if they half it. I mean, you know, excuse me for saying forgetting. If they half-ass it, it's going to backfire on them completely. But if by some chance they could come out the gate and be like, blow your freaking eyes out, you know, eye-melting graphics and all this other stuff, doing a remaster on the scale of RE3
that's
or
what
some of the other ones.
Because, honestly, don't mean to cut you off. Sorry. That's what I worry about because it's a remaster that nobody was checking for. People wanted the RE3. People wanted Final Fantasy 7. And you see the fanfare behind those 2 games coming out. I always worry about remasters that get done when there's really nobody asking for them. To me, it always feels kind of odd because it's like, who sent you an email saying, "Hey, can we get a Crisis remaster?" Like, did you do a poll somewhere? Like, I didn't see.
Can I rebuttal you?
What?
I want to say yes on Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII has a huge fanfare.
No, that's what I'm saying. I definitely Final Fantasy VII. People asked for that. People wanted that, as well as RE3. I'm saying
no, but now they want RE3 now. But if we rewind a few years ago, Capcom wasn't doing so well, and when they were coming out with this idea of doing like remasters of Resident Evil, people were didn't have their expectations very high, and all of a sudden Resident Evil 2 comes out, and it was one of the best remasters of the generation. Heck, it got nominated for, I think, Game of the Year at the Game Awards for 2019. And that right there just I think kind of changed people's course on these remasters, like, well, at least the one with Resident Evil 3, because they knew what we were going to get at this point.
Well, the thing about Resident Evil 2, the thing about Resident Evil as well is that we hadn't had a Resident Evil. So same thing with Crisis still, but Crisis I think has even less fanfare is what I'm saying. At least there's real fanfare behind Resident Evil. The game is still fairly relevant. You know, especially even after 2, like you said, that kind of kicked the doors down to the possibility of having more Resident Evil remasters. But I don't know if anybody was asking for this at all, or anybody had any interest in Crisis at all. So it is kind of strange that out of the blue they're like, "Hey, here's a remaster of the first game." So it is a little odd. But we're gonna get to Fuzzy. Just get your genuine opinion on this, Fuzzy. So what do you think about the Crisis remaster? Where you at with that? Something that you gonna purchase, or
not something I'm gonna purchase unless they would have to like knock my socks off as far as not just with visuals, but some additional, I don't know, maybe some game mechanics or something like that just show that it was worthwhile as far as a remaster. The big thing with Crytek right now is that I know they were working with Microsoft on a game or some sort of like marketing deal, and I think that was kind of, I wouldn't say drop, but it kind of didn't go anywhere, and that was the Hunt Showdown deal. Started on PC, came to Xbox for exclusive for like a 6-month period or a year, and now it's on PlayStation, and it's not really doing well. So I think they're kind of hunting and pecking as far as for their next paycheck or next, allotment of money that they can hopefully keep the lights on type of thing. I just don't understand if it's Microsoft that's holding things up, or if it's them that's holding things up, or just the two not wanting to come to the table for Rise. But I think a Rise 2 would be much better received than a remaster of Crisis. But that's just my take on it. I don't know. I don't understand why they're going this route. I mean, if you have a game that's a benchmark, or was at one point a benchmark, as far as just for, like you said, for rigs, you're going to have to bring something additional to the table. It's like, we got new cards that are going to be coming out here soon. There's new tech out there, and if you're going to push the limits of that and push the limits of these next generation consoles, although the remaster is going to be on current gen consoles, it's like, I don't know. I think time and effort invested in a Rise 2, even though, yes, Rise 1 didn't get the recognition or wasn't as well received, and I think that was just, it was a victim of its own, being at the wrong place at the wrong time type of thing. Just with the whole 2013 and how Xbox One kind of dropped the ball from the gates. But I would be curious to sit on their board meetings and be like, we got word that remakes are the next best thing. So instead of looking at one that people actually have been on social media saying that we should do, let's just come out of left field with Crisis. So,
I don't know. That decision was a little suspect.
That's just me.
I'm surprised they remembered the password to their Twitter account after 3 years. To be honest with you,
too much. So let's go ahead and get to. We got some questions in the chat. I did ask the chat earlier to throw some questions in there, just because we got a very special guest on today, and we want to just, see what we can do here, see what people want to talk about. So our mod of the year, Shonsu, threw in a question as well. He said thoughts on rumor PS5 will release in limited supply. So we're gonna start with you on this one, BG, just to get your genuine opinion. Now, obviously, the world is is upside down right now. We all understand the effects that this situation is having on everyday life now, let alone the gaming landscape as well. Supply and demand is a big thing, and with all this stuff going on, so I know it hasn't been officially announced, or there's nobody really came out and said. Well, I think they actually have mentioned that there's a possibility for PlayStation may come out with limited supply, and then obviously they'll come out depending on when Xbox comes out as well. So, what's your opinion on that, BG? Just do you think that as time goes on, are we going to see these consoles delayed, or are they still going to make that timetable just with limited supplies and just that idea of having of limited supplies of consoles for a little while at least?
I believe the limited supply thing. I mean, it does make sense, but even I don't think limited supply. You can twist it in your favor, and spin it as your product is so much in demand. Because we've seen artificial, artificial demand tactics be used in the past by companies and stuff. Like, people want our product so bad. It's the hot thing. It's like the equivalent to like with restaurants. Some restaurants do this thing where they purposely make inside small, so the line goes around the corner outside. Like that's an actual tactic that restaurants use just to attract people. Everybody wants to know, okay, why is everybody lined up to go inside this restaurant? And I think doing a limited launch for people who are able to get it won't hurt. People who want it later will just buy it when they're able to get it. Delaying it, I think, has bigger implications and bigger problems. The first one out, being first out, is an advantage. Even if you're not the best, being the first one out is an advantage, because people will take what's there.
Okay. All right, so I agree with that. That's a great breakdown. So I do agree with that too, and it's very interesting, like you said, to see how this plays out, because a delay is also something that we could potentially see depending on where things end up at. So that is also something that we need to keep in the back of our head. Now, I want to piggyback off that. I want to get your opinion on this question too, BG. They did mention Xbox specifically, and I don't know if you saw the tweet about, I think it was some quick, maybe 4 or 5 bullet points about maybe a little bit of their strategy going into this generation, but are you surprised that the tweet that the information seemed to be, or that PlayStation is a little bit more reactionary this time around, directly saying, hey, we're gonna wait and see if they come out, depending on if their console's delayed at all? Is that a little bit surprise for you, or because they seem to be the leader most times, they pretty much are able to control the narrative just with as strong as their brand has? So is that kind of surprising that they would say, hey, we're kind of waiting to see what the other guys are doing?
Yeah, this reactionary, usually they're a little bit smarter, being, well, I'm not gonna say always, but with the PS4, they were, they definitely took the bulls by the horns and everything like that, and were very forward thinking. I think the Xbox reveal did catch them off guard. I mean, nobody saw that coming. At that stage. True. At that point. That early, nobody would have predicted that. So I think that's really what they weren't ready for. So, yeah. Really?
Because we have been debating that too. Because it honestly, and I know Phil talked about it a little bit, a couple times. He mentioned that, essentially with somebody in a meeting saying, hey, we should just do it. And he was like, well, okay, let's just do it then. So even I don't even think Xbox was ready to. And somebody just pushed the idea and it went through. So, we've kind of been throwing that idea off each other too. That did it really catch them off guard? How much did it actually catch them off guard? Because at that point in time in December, you're right. Nobody expected a full form factor already. So I think I would tend to agree with you on that, BG. I think that's a good breakdown. So anybody else want to touch on the supply and demand as far as limited supplies of the PS5 or even the Xbox, the Series X as well? So anybody else?
I just want to touch real quick on the fact of there might be limited supplies of either system, but there's a limited supply of money available to people right now because of the current world situation, and the unemployment numbers in the US alone is going to have, I think, an impact on what people can buy when those systems launch. I mean, it might recover by then, but it's going to take a while. So that might actually affect these things as well. So we'll see about that. Not affect the delay, but affect sales numbers. So
gaming numbers have been up though. That's the thing.
What's that?
Gaming numbers,
no, I understand that. I'm just saying there's the unemployment numbers are so huge right now that people might just Like if it's a matter of paying your rent or buying food or buying that console that you were planning on buying, I mean, you're obviously going to do the hopefully the smart thing and keep
Get
your
that console,
keep your
boys.
roof over your head and somewhere to plug your new console into. But I'm just saying it might be something that impacts the sales of either console. So
okay, I would agree with that. Anybody else want to take a shot, Fuzz, Centurion? On the
I agree with Stag on that. It's
I'm with Stag too.
Yeah, if we can get to June and start to work our way where we can go back to business the way it was prior, which I wouldn't say skeptical. I'm hopeful, but I expect a resurgence of cases if we come out of our houses.
And I agree with BT as well, but yeah, sorry.
But it's I think it will be limited supply just because there'll be only limited demand. Because I'm fortunate enough, and I'm hoping most of those that are listening are fortunate enough to be able to continue to work from home. But like Stag said, there's those unemployment numbers are going up, and that can kill a bustling economy faster than anything. So.
True. We're in uncharted waters here. Definitely uncharted territory here. This has never been.
Well, and I mean, a lot of people are really currently happy with this gen. And to be honest, like we don't know a lot about games for either system.
True.
You know what I mean? So in games, as we all hear, sell systems. You know what I mean? True. So if there's I wouldn't say a huge launch lineup for either console. I mean, other than early adopters who love to have their, no matter, you got your people that gotta have that new iPhone or the new Android or whatever new tech, like people were lining up to buy Laserdisc players, back in the day. There's going to be those people, obviously, but if there's not games to motivate you to go out and buy the console, the Series X, the Xbox One X is a great console. Even the other Xboxes, the S is great. I have a PS4 Slim. I don't even have a Pro. It plays great games. I have a lot of fun on it. The Switch is great. There's still this gen. I mean, like the 360. I didn't adopt the Xbox One X for a year or two after launch. So there's a lot of people that will stick with what they've got because it's still really good.
And that's a great point. And I want to throw this question to you too, BG, before we go ahead and wrap, just to show up here in general and get everybody out of here. Don't want to hold anybody too long, but interesting to see games. Since we haven't really, that's the one thing. I mean, Xbox has announced. I mean, they haven't announced any Xbox Series X specific games. They did come out and say maybe 1 to 2 years we're going to get those games specifically built for that machine. And then Sony, outside of Godfall, we have no idea about any games as far as the launch lineup. Now, this close to these games coming out, obviously that's in limbo due to the world situation. Does that worry you at all, BG? Because we haven't. Truthfully, we haven't seen anything from either one of them. Well, not much of anything from either one of them about any games coming out at launch.
That they haven't announced any games. Do I think that's a problem?
Yeah, I don't necessarily say a problem, but are you a little worried or worrisome about the launch lineup? Because both, at this particular point, we know very little, or is it just due obviously to the times have changed, and obviously we may not just be getting that information right now, but I feel like I'd have to go back and just look and sit and think in my memory to see if that was the case. But it feels like even when this generation started, we did get an idea of the games we're going to be getting a little bit earlier. But once again, what do you think about that as far as games coming out with these brand new systems? Since we're not really getting much information regarding that from either side.
Yeah, I mean, the at this point it was February when this past February would be the equivalent of when we got news about PlayStation 4 games, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little worrying, but I'm also like the PlayStation launches have never really been that great either.
Exactly.
So that's why I'm not as worried about it. Like whether they show us games or not, like their launch probably ain't gonna be good. So I'm not that worried about it. I'm sure we'll get some information soon enough.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fair. That's fair. No, I didn't think about it from that perspective too, because you're right. If you really think about the generation, PlayStation doesn't really get warmed up to about year 2 or 3. That's when you start to see the heavy hitters. You start to see the God of Wars, the Horizons, things like that. So that's right in the trajectory. So cool. All right. So I guess we're gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up, man. It was a phenomenal show. We're going to let everybody go around the panel. I just want to thank everybody watching in the chat right now. The link will be up shortly after the show, so make sure you retweet the link. If anybody didn't get to watch it, make sure you make people aware that, the show is live and they can come on and hit the link and watch it. But I just want to say just to our guest, Devon, here before we wrap things up, appreciate you, BG, taking a little bit of time, spending some time with us, man. I was geeked up, man, when you hit me back. I really was. I'm not even going to front, not even going to cap here. I was super geeked up because I've been a fan. Always been an admirer of the work you put in, and it's consistent. It shows on your channel. It shows at everything you do, and I appreciate you taking some time out just to come on our little old show over here and just talk to us and have a good time, man. So hopefully you had a good time, but let everybody know that's watching right now where they can find you, what you got going on, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. I definitely appreciate the invite. You could find me on my channel, Broken Games HD, and Weapon Wheel podcasts are on Sundays. So yeah, come check us out. Appreciate the invite once again.
Not a problem, BG, man. Appreciate you, brother. Once again, so let's go ahead and go around the table here. Stag, let everybody know what's going on with you, what's going on with your streaming schedule, things like that. Let everybody know where they can find you, brother.
I mean, as always, you can find me on Twitter or Twitch. Under Staggerella. Put out my schedule for next week. I'm actually showcasing 3 new releases next week. One doesn't come out to the end of the month, but 2 of the games are releasing the day I'm playing them. I'm looking forward to that.
Nice.
So I'm doing another game on my PS4 it's the craziest name ever. It's called Rainbows, Toilets, and Unicorns. I mean, I don't know how I don't play that game. So yeah, and obviously find me in those 2 places, and you can find me here once a week on Saturdays.
Appreciate you, man. Once again, every single week, super consistent. Once again, everybody, that information is down in the description below, as well as BG's channel information, his Twitter information as well. Please go follow him, check him out. Same thing with Stag. Follow him on Twitch, Mixer. You guys can find all of those links on Twitter as well. So Centurion, let everybody know what's going on with you, brother. Hopefully, we're getting some more videos here soon, some more content, brother. So let everybody know where they can find you at.
Well, as always, you guys can find me right here kicking it with you guys every Saturday, but I also do the TXR podcast with Invader and the rest of the great group over there on Sundays. You can also find me on social media, Twitter, YouTube, and also Xbox Live at Centurion1307.
Awesome, man. Once again, thank you coming on every single week, man, being a big part of the show. Last but not least, man, Mr. Barry Ross. Now, if you didn't know BG, Barry Ross is an amalgamation of Barry White and Bob Ross. So he's a mix. That's where you get the Barry Ross from. So the smoothest voice on the internet, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere. What's going on with you? Let everybody know where they can find you, brother.
You can find me on Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere, PSN at Fuzzy_Belvedere, or Xbox Live, Fuzzy Space Belvedere. Been playing a lot of racing games and playing some Anthem. Awesome show, awesome guests. Always great to talk games with you guys.
Awesome. Love to have you. And by the way, everybody, Fuzzy is doing voicemails for $5 a piece. So just let him know if you need a voicemail. Let him know if you need a custom voicemail. He'll hook you up, man. It's hard times right now. We all need to get that extra money. So hit Fuzzy up if you need a custom voicemail. But anyway, last but not least, your boy PTK Blam across the board. Hosted the most here every Saturday at the Shop Podcast. Hit me up on Twitter. Follow me there. Once again, poll of the week every single Monday. Everybody, I have a new guest. Same show, same time next week. Once again, another quick shout out to BG for taking some time here. Please go check out the Weapon Wheel podcast. What time is it tomorrow? Does it come on?
Yeah, 6:30 EST.
6:30 EST. So be there, be square. Show him some love. The man puts on a phenomenal show. It's hilarious. Lots of personality. If you like personality, you're going to get a lot of it from this show. But he's a phenomenal host, even better guy in person. So I just want to give you another shout out, BG. So yeah, you guys go do that if you're a fan of the channel here. But anyway, everybody, we're out of here. Peace out. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay ass inside. I don't care what nobody's doing right now. Stay inside. Stay safe. We're out of here, everybody. Enjoy.